got Grant Hall with us on halftime. Hall of Fame journalist covering the Razorbacks. Grant, they've got cookies the size of your head. You don't have a big head or anything, but they have cookies the size of your head here. Why are you not here?
Well, if you eat one of those, you can't kind of messes your diet up, right?
Well, I mean, come on. Members of the media, sports media, don't worry about their diet too much. I've seen you at too many games to think you're worried about your diet. You'll be there tonight, Arkansas, Ole Miss. I think this will test a little bit of the toughness of the team. I hope I don't see a team that just expects to be able to show up because it's their home building and it's not the number one team in the nation. And Ole Miss is a team that's going to make you value every single possession because they're going to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, they'll play as hard defensively as any team Arkansas sees this year. It's interesting because Cal talked the other night about Calipari talked about the team being in crisis right now after one game. Losing in the SEC to a team that turned around, by the way, and lost by 30 last night. If you can believe that, Tennessee lost to Florida by 30 points, and you're going to see all kinds of crazy outcomes this year. But I think tonight is maybe the biggest game of the season in terms of Arkansas bouncing back, and we're going to kind of see maybe more of what this team's going to be this year. How's it going to respond? Because Ole Miss I saw their bus here yesterday at noon. I don't think the players and coaches they got here in practice last night. They're going to treat this game Coach Beard will like a Final Four game, and the other part of that, Phil and Matt, is that this is it's a 6 o'clock game. A lot of fans won't be able to be there by tip-off. There'll be a lot of traffic around. It's 19 degrees last time I looked. You got Wednesday night churches. You got a lot of things mitigating against a great crowd, and I'm real curious to see what that crowd is going to be at 6 o'clock and 6:30 and 7 o'clock tonight, and how engaged they're going to be, because they're going to need a typical Arkansas type crowd to win this game, I think.
Yeah, you just want to see him be a little more consistent. We've seen him in flashes. I'm trying not to read too much into the first game going to Tennessee. The one thing that kind of worries me a little bit is our free throw shooting. But I just like to see him get back to playing defense and grind a little bit. And if you play defense, you're going to get easier shots. What do you want to see this team accomplish tonight?
Well, Calipari said some of the best players played their worst games the other night. And I think you probably would include Boogie Fland in that, who was, 5 for 15. He reminds me a lot of Lee Mayberry, if people can remember back that far. He's going to play and do things at his own pace, and his own pace is pretty good, But I thought it was interesting that Calipari said Monday night that here's a guy that he said, you should be a double-double every game. You should score and get assists at that rate. And so maybe he'll do that tonight. Maybe he won't. There's some other guys that didn't play great. How will they come back and play? And I think a big factor the other day was Adu. You would have expected him to play great against his former teammates, but I think he was still affected by the flu. And when Calipari, he was talking about guys almost shooting air balls. Remember those two free throws that came off the front of the rim that barely got to the rim? I think he was still affected by the effects of the flu, and I think he'll play a lot better tonight. But it's going to be one of those possession by possession, tough to the end, I think, type games tonight.
Nellie Davis last year at Florida Atlantic was held to single digits in 3 games.
Oh, my goodness.
He's only scored double figures 5 games this year. He's coming off being shut out by Tennessee. I understand the reason why. It's a risk thing, and I think that's probably gotten into a mental situation as well, where it's just changed him as a player. And who knows if he can get back to that. I think he has to be healthy in order to be this. Can Arkansas win at a high level this year without Janelle Davis?
Well, and you could say it about some other guys, too. What are you going to get night by night from Brazil, for example? He can look really good some nights, and other nights he doesn't look that engaged. They need this 9-player combination that they have, that they're playing. They need them all to be healthy, and they need, 5, 6, 7 of those guys playing really well on any night. And so, we'll see if it happens tonight.
All right, Grant, tomorrow it's here. It starts kind of a little trickle-down effect right there as far as playoff games, college, and go to the NFL. But Notre Dame, Penn State, what's the key matchup there? Who do you got in that one?
I think I like Notre Dame in that game, Matt. I really like their quarterback. I like his feistiness and ability to stick his nose in there, and I think they're really good. It's interesting that you have remaining in the playoffs these teams, none of which has won a conference championship. It's like, where's Oregon? Where's Georgia? Where are these teams? Even, I tell you, a team playing really well right now is Michigan, but they lost way too many games to be in this thing. So we're left with what we're left with, and I kind of thought that's what would happen with these. You're going to have somebody playing 17 games. I remember when Ohio State sometimes played 9 games a season, way back when Woody Hayes was coaching. So it's an endurance contest, and I would think it would be the team that had the best depth and the most healthy players and the best attitude going. I think you're going to ask me about the other game, Matt. I think Ohio State has the edge over Texas, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, that one. I think as far as offensive, I think it's styles make fights, and I think Texas's defense is elite, and I think Ohio State's offense is elite, and so you're going to see what happens. Maybe it comes down to turnovers in that game, but that one, I think Texas can beat anybody, I think Ohio State is the hottest team in the country right now.
And I think that what I would like to see is Arch Manning play a little bit, and that Sarkisian. I don't know if he'll do what Nick Saban one time did when he pulled Hurts and put in
for Tua
at a key time. It had the
they get down 17. I think they would, don't you, Phil? Do you think if Texas was down 17, they'd put in Arch Manning?
Would make sense. I mean, like you said, we've seen it before, but it would have to be a certain kind of backup.
Isn't that what happened with Hurts and Tua, though? Right? Like, weren't they? It wasn't like they were up 24.
Yeah, they were down. I think it would. Yeah, maybe depending on how the game was going and how they have.
Because I've never met a coach. If you're up, if it's 13-3 and we're winning, coach isn't taking the quarter. They're not changing the quarterback. If you're up.
No, and you're talking about a guy that's really good, Ewers, who's basically. I mean, my gosh, they hit a 4th and goal from the 13 pass to win the game that got them where they are, But he's talked about spotting him in there at times and using his abilities. And I almost think they might need that in this game a little bit.
Like a wildcat. Yeah.
To me, it still feels like the season's too long. If there's one thing I'm going to try to fix, the buys and how many teams are in it and everything, if they're going to be adding teams into the playoff too, you got to have the season end before January 20th. I mean, people complain about when the transfer portal hits. That's always going to be the same time of the year, I think, because of the calendar of academics. The only thing you can do, and you can change the calendar. It's not a matter of tradition and all of that. You can do things if you want to do it. The season needs to be pushed back a month.
Well, it does feel as if, we were used to be football was over by January the 1st, and now you're throwing the Orange Bowl a bone and the Rose Bowl by letting them be part of this thing, but they're not the biggest part. They're just, kind of setting the table. I mean, there's been one good game so far in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about one really exciting close game. And I hope that these games will be good tomorrow and Friday, but they might not be. And
college football needs that. I think so. Yes, I mean because that the NFL is going to get humongous ratings no matter what. Even in the blowouts, they're going to get that. College football with this, it's not an experiment because it's not like this is going to be changing. If it ever changes, it's going to be more teams in. What they need is the ability to market this in the future. You remember what you just saw a year ago? You can't do that right now.
Yeah, and one thing that messed up this year was the ridiculous thing of giving buys to teams based on. I mean, come on, the way with Boise State was Arizona State not having to play the first round. I mean, it should always be merit based, right? On that, not just setting it up beforehand.
Well, I think if you would have put Georgia or Tennessee in Penn State's side of the bracket, put them where they were right there, then I think you would see Georgia and Tennessee playing Notre Dame this week. I think Penn State probably had the easiest road to get to where they are right now.
Yeah, and that's an intriguing. Just Penn State itself is intriguing because I think Franklin's 3-19 against the Ohio States and Michigans of the world in these big games, and of course they've gotten to where they are. That's great for them. I mean, happy for him doing that, but can they?
Well, the wild thing too, it's like,
next step?
Look, they were playoff games, and I can appreciate that too. But if they were regular season games, nobody would point to SMU and Boise as big games for a Big Ten program for Penn State. I mean, they were because they're playoff games, but it's still more. I mean, you're looking at what the big games are to him, and it's what the record is against top five and against national championship caliber teams like Ohio State and what Michigan was the last few years. That's what this is now about. These next two potentially for Penn State, because you're playing national championship caliber teams. And let's be honest about this. There was nothing about SMU, and there was nothing about Boise. There was national championship caliber.
No, and it's interesting, guys, because a long time ago you had these regional arguments. And like this year, you've got three so-called northern teams, I guess, with Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Penn State playing, and one southwestern team. Really, I mean, they're in the SEC now, but for so long, Southern football has dominated this thing, but namely Alabama, Georgia, and a few others. And so I don't know if it represents a shift so much as just the way the combinations are now in conferences. And but that used to be a big deal. I mean, the people from this part of the country used to always think that they didn't get enough credit compared to the Notre Dames and Penn States of the world. So I don't know. Maybe some of that argument comes back, but I think it'll kind of be a year. It'll kind of change year by year.
Hey, I know the NFL playoffs are starting too. We don't do a whole lot of NFL talk, but who do you got right now? You think the two teams with the byes? You think it goes through Kansas City and Detroit, or who do you think has the host of the Lombardi Trophy?
I really like the Lions, Matt. They seem to have a really nice team thing going. Campbell, it's like he wants to play. It's like he wants to get on the field and play, and I think this team responds to that. And I don't know if. I mean, do you think Kansas City, because of all the close wins this year, does that indicate that they're maybe not quite a Super Bowl team, or do you think they're going to get there anyway?
I think it indicates that they know how to win professional football games.
Yeah, and Mahomes, Mahomes has been hurt, but I think he'll be fine by the time he plays, don't you? I mean, he should be okay.
Yeah, if it's Chiefs fatigue or if you just think eventually they have to, nobody's ever – has it happened in the Super Bowl era? It was 3 straight Super Bowls. So it's just –
Not only has it not happened, I don't think teams had an opportunity
and Baltimore is so scary. I think Baltimore is the scariest team. I know a lot of people in Buffalo. Buffalo's scary too, but that running back that they have with and that defense they got, I mean, Baltimore's scary.
Yeah, I'm going to say Baltimore over Kansas City. Just right now, I would say that.
Yeah, me too.
See, and I'm saying that too. But
and watch Kansas City's going to win it.
It's just the Chiefs' fatigue. That's it. I still, in the back of my head, believe I'll see it when I believe it. Or I'll believe it when I see it.
If it's a one-possession game and Patrick Mahomes has the ball, I mean, don't we all think that – I mean, it's like we all think that that's going to happen.
That's how I felt about Brady, and that's exactly how I feel about Mahomes now.
And for a long time, it was just the opposite with Andy Reid coach teams. He's turned that whole perception around by winning these things lately.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.